All right, so thanks for joining in. We're going to continue on discovering the All-Star line card from Trends Electronics. And on this session, we have a special guest that will be going through with us the European goodness that is Gladen and Mosconi products. And of course, I can't do that alone. I'm going to have to bring in my cohort, Mr. Grant McFadder from Trends Electronics. What's going on, Grant?
Hey, buddy. Nice short break. We're ready to go.
Short break? There's no break. Back to back. Besides, we got an impatient Texan in the back that we have to get on the screen real quick.
Absolutely. Got some good stuff happening. Hey, can I just say something real quick? On the chats on Facebook, we should have our reps on there. If anyone's got questions, there's James Chevrette, Trevor Kushner, Adele Gadala, James Drew, and Francois Thibault on there. If you guys have any questions, you can interact with them. Hopefully they're online checking it out. We're also going to be doing a random draw at the end. We just got our new set of iConnect gaming headphones. Just arrived, fresh off the boat, literally. That we'll be giving away a set randomly at the end of each session as well. So that's just a little thing to keep you interacted.
Absolutely. Win a set of iConnect headphones and connect and join the conversation with the Trends Army on Facebook. Okay.
Yep.
Gladen Mosconi, European goodness, like I said, and we're going to bring on the man that's going to go through our 2020 or the 2021 lineup for Gladen Mosconi, and his name is legendary trainer Nick Wingate.
Good morning or afternoon. How's everybody today?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. Nick, ready to get our learn on?
Sure. Whatever y'all are, just let me know.
Well, I'll tell you, before we do that, I'd like to have a quick discussion just to set up for the folks who may not be familiar with the brand. We got dealers from all over Canada watching this.
Sure.
Where is Gladen Mosconi's position, within the landscape of car audio, just generally speaking?
I would assume we're talking about whether it's lower end, upper end, higher end. They are, Gladen is middle of the line to upper end in speaker manufacturing, which is predominantly what they are about. They do manufacture a few amplifiers as an entry-level product, but not an entry-level sound by any means. And then Mosconi is what I call upper mid-fi to high fidelity, and building amplifiers and processors, hand built in a lot of different ways. They do a lot of things with a production line, like everybody else that does anything with a circuit board. But then when it comes to the final product, building the power supplies, the output devices, adding things into the amplifier, it's all done by hand. Wow. They're really very, very picky about how they do things, which is a good thing for all of us.
Well, I think there are a lot of people that appreciate attention to detail, as you have described just there. And for Grant, as far as the trends, from Trends perspective, this is your highest end gear that you're on your offering, is it not?
On the Mosconi line of amplifiers and processors, absolutely. We've had really good fun and success with the Pro Series, which I think Nick's going to touch on today.
Yes.
The AS amplifiers, the Zero amplifiers, if you want something a little higher end than higher end. Really, really nice product. And then the Gladen line is like Nick was saying, it hits a pretty aggressive price point without any cutbacks in performance. It certainly delivers on what they say. 600 watt monoblock is a real 600 watt monoblock and so on. But it's been fun having both lines on. I mean, we unfortunately brought the lines on right as COVID hit, basically. So we had a bit of a false start as far as launching the branch back into the Canadian market. But onwards and upwards. Let's get this going.
So let's consider this that big launch, and we have the right person
Absolutely.
for the job. Let's get our learn on. Let's learn about what Gladen and Mosconi has to offer. So I'm going to go ahead and put up your presentation, Nick, and I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you, sir. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about, as Grant was eliminating everybody, is about the new Pro Series of amplifiers. And in specific, we're going to concentrate on a very brand new. This is a brand new amplifier. We just recently brought them in country. They are called the Pro 210. Now, the Mosconi lineup in the Pro, there's a number of different amplifiers. There is a 5-channel, which is known as a 530. There's a 4-channel, which is known as the 410. There's a monoblock, which is known as the 110. This is a new addition to the lineup. They needed the 2-channel for a very specific reason. And basically the reason behind it is this. It's 240 watts a channel at 4 ohms. That's very conservatively rated. I think it's actually producing way more power than that. And if you do 2 ohm stereo, it's 360 watts into 2 channels. Now, the reason behind this, and this is kind of the way that they think, is as we all know, going fully active today is becoming a more and more of a common thing. And as such, there are times when you need a lot of power to drive a dedicated mid-bass driver or even a pair of mid-bass drivers in your doors. So as such, they decided they were going to give an amplifier with a lot of power to be able to handle that. And so that's the reason why on this particular amplifier. You can bridge it to 720 watts mono into 4 ohms. It is only stable at 4 ohms in mono. You cannot go to 2 ohms. It does not like it, okay? It'll accept from 0.35 volts all the way to 12 volts of input. If you use what is known as direct DSP, which I'll get into in just a minute, the input sensitivity, maximum input voltage is 6.2 volts. There is a reason behind that, and I will get to it. There are full crossover functions available on the amplifier. You have a low pass, which functions from 43 hertz to 300 hertz. It's a 24 dB per octave slope, linked with Raleigh alignment. It will also has a high pass built into it, which goes from 18 hertz to 280 hertz, again using a 24 dB per octave slope, linked with Raleighs. Now, I've had some people ask me, why does it have a high pass on it that goes all the way down to 18 hertz? And that's if you are going to use a vented enclosure for a subwoofer and you're going to use the amp to drive, dedicated subs. If you need to build a high pass in order to protect the sub, let's just say you've got a vented enclosure and we've got it tuned to say 27 hertz, then you've got a filter to put on it that protects it, from the amplifier seeing the tuning impedance. So it's one of the things that I really like about the amplifier. Plus, it also allows you to where you can also build a band pass if you're going to be using it as a dedicated mid-bass driver, say from 300 hertz to 80 hertz. It gives you the opportunity to do that as well. Special features. This is what we were talking about just a minute ago, direct DSP. This function allows you to bypass every preamp function in the amplifier, including the gain structures. Basically, it becomes like a high-end home audio amplifier. Yeah, if you've ever seen the Boulders and the Macintoshes and the Levinsons and the Krells, it's just an amp. That's what this becomes when you hit that direct DSP bypass. What happens is your DSP processor becomes your preamp section. So your signal to noise ratio goes through the roof and your stereo separation goes through the roof. We'll accept high level or low level inputs directly into the amplifier. Auto sense, obviously it's on the high level side only, okay? And again, this amplifier is part of the Pro line. This has been a huge success for us at Orca here in the United States, and I know Grant and the guys have done a great job with it in Canada for the limited amount of time they've had it. Again, the amplifiers are very unique. They're very good looking. They sound amazing, and the best part is they don't break. So, Ben, do you have any questions about anything I just went over?
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on, let's get ourselves back on screen here. So if you don't mind, Grant, could you just put that amp back to the camera? There's something that I noticed that I wanted to touch on real quick. So what is the unique feature, Nick, about these Pro Series that would really tickle people's attention?
About the amplifiers in general?
Yeah, the series.
Honestly, gosh, it's the sound. When we first got these amplifiers in, this has been several years back. We were literally going to CES, if everybody remembers CES, and these amps showed up at the last moment, and we literally put them on a demonstration board with a lot of Gladen speakers. And when my chief engineer and I, Alan Hosebus, who you guys are going to meet after a while with Illusion Audio, and we've hooked them up, Alan and I both just looked at each other and just said tubes. They sound like home tube amplifier. Yes. So
they're warm.
Yeah, especially the 530. the 530 is a very unique amplifier in that it's 5 channels with 3 separate power supplies built into it. Channels 1 and 2, they're roughly around 80 to 90 watts a channel, and it's biased really close to Class A, in my opinion, from just listening to it. Then channels 3 and 4 is like 160 watts a channel, and then channel 5 is 600 watts at 4 ohms, 1,000 watts at 2 ohms. That's the amplifier we had hooked up, and it's my favorite amplifier in the line.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Well, I unfortunately have not had the opportunity to listen to them yet. But from what I can see, can you, if you don't mind, I'm using you as a model here, Grant.
I'm good at being Vanna. It's good.
Yeah, if you could show that amp, there's just I have to comment on how sexy that amplifier looks. I mean, the red fan is just a cherry on top. There's nothing that I can think of right now that even comes close to having the aesthetics that this amplifier does. I guess that's my comment.
Well, cosmetically, they're gorgeous, and physically, they're not very big. If you zoom back on that camera, that's my phone, which is an S20. It's basically the size of 3 S20s. And you've got, 3 amplifiers in this size. You've got the Pro 410, the Pro 110, the Pro 210 with some serious power that doesn't take up a lot of space, which is really important in a lot of today's cars if you're going and mounting the amp in a quarter panel or whatever. But performance for the size of the amplifier and for the cost of the amplifier, quite frankly, is phenomenal.
Now, Nick, was that a 2020 addition to the lineup or 2021?
It was a late 2020.
Okay.
Quote unquote. It was, if I remember correctly, we got them late November, early December, if I remember correctly.
All right.
But yeah, it's still a 2021 product. That's kind of where it was. We were looking at it.
So, when I think of Gladen and Mosconi, DSP kind of comes to mind. What kind of solutions or offerings do we have as far as amplifiers, perhaps a built-in DSP or anything of that nature?
Yeah, there's several different, that do. I'm going to jump ahead real quick. I'm going to show somebody this amp. Let me do this.
Yeah, no problem.
This is something that I want to get in real quick, and then we're going to go into the DSP amps. This is a brand new amplifier that we just got. It's called 100.6. Although a lot of people are looking for multi-channel amplifiers with a lot of power that are very flexible, this is the amp. This is in the 1 series, which is the series kind of below the Pro Series, whereas a lot of the Pro Series amplifiers have separate, multiple power supplies. This 1 series does not. It has a single power supply. They are all Class A/B with the exception of 1 amp, which is Class D. This particular amplifier is 6 channels at 100 watts at 4 ohms, or 6 channels at 120 watts a channel at 2 ohms. But you can also bridge channels, and this is the cool thing about this amp. You can take it to 4x95 at 4, bridge channels 5 and 6, go ahead and 250 watts at 4 ohms, or you can bridge this thing to 3 channels, and it gets you 240 watts a channel at 4 ohms. Now, I get this asking me, why did they do that? And I said, it's really simple. Again, they're thinking fully active 3 ways. Okay. So if you want to put 1 amp on the left channels and 1 amp on the right channels, you've got the ability to throw clean 240 watts a channel to tweeter, mid-range, and mid-bass.
Wow.
And then you've got, obviously all the crossover networks are built into it that we all know and love. It'll accept up to 16 volts of input for those of us who know about the V8s and the 16 volts. It has high pass functions. It has low pass functions. It also has band pass functions on all of them. They're all 12 dB per octave slope, linked with Rileys. It does have remote volume control support. It is an optional. It uses the RTC2 hub, which is a really cool piece. There is an analog phase shift on this. If you don't have a DSP processor and yet you want to align your subwoofer to your mid bass and you're bridging channels 5 and 6, there's an analog phase shift where you literally can take a screwdriver and put it into the potentiometer and turn it. And you literally will hear it, or you can just watch it on the RTA screen, and you can see how the sub bass will phase correctly with your mid bass driver.
Nice.
It's a really cool feature that a lot of people don't like to talk about, that don't know about it.
I see. So is this the one that Grant has up here? This is the one right here.
I don't know. I can't see Grant.
This is This is a 90.8, which is another one of the 1 Series amplifiers, but they're all the same size chassis. Again, you've got a lot of power in a very compact size. This is 90 watts by 8, but the 100.6 is exactly the same size. So you got very compact size for lots of power.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and they're all Class AB, and we all know Class AB sounds better. That's just me.
Because Nick said so.
Yeah, well.
I got him on video.
I appreciate that.
Right.
This next section I'm going to talk about, this is something brand new. This is something we just got them in or we are about to get them in. And this is a really cool thing. And I wish I had thought of this because we all should have. This is called the Gladen Active Terminal Module. And what you're looking at is an amplifier. And this is an amplifier that you literally can plug into any prefab box that has a terminal cup.
Okay. I was wondering what I was looking at. Sorry, I was all confused. Forgive the look on my face.
No. And this is the reason I go to this picture. Everybody goes, what in the heck is this? And then they go, duh. Oh, why in the hell haven't we thought of this? It's brilliant. This is 200 watts. It's 200 watts mono. There's a 2 ohm or 4 ohm version of the amplifier. As you can see, it's really cool how they're doing this. Yeah, and you can see the size of it. It's not very big. It's right at about 5.5 inches deep. The really cool thing about this, there's 2 versions of it. There's a 4 ohm version or a 2 ohm. It is a limited frequency response. It's 25 hertz to 200 hertz. So it is a dedicated subwoofer amplifier. It will accept high-level inputs or low-level inputs. It does have auto sense functioning. It is on the high-level input. The RTC2 remote volume control works with this piece. You have a low-pass crossover only, obviously, but it's variable from 120 hertz to 50 hertz. A 12 dB proactive link with trolley, 10 volts to 16 volts on the high level. As you can see, it's only like 5 inches deep. And you can use these things in a lot of different ways, but stop and think about. We were talking about smaller cars, smaller alternators don't have a lot of power to give to where we can't put multiple amplifiers in the car. You don't have to anymore. You got a prefab box, or even if you don't have a prefab box, if you're building an enclosure and you've got limited space for amplifiers, here's an answer right here. If you've got an amp, you got subs that like 200 watts, here you go. Okay. The one thing that I will point out is this. There are 2 versions. If you're going to need a 2 ohm version, you have to order the 2 ohm amplifier. Okay. And if you need a 4 ohm, you order the 4 ohm. Okay.
I mean, that's easy enough. That's not that complicated.
Yeah. No, it's really not. Other than that, I wish I thought of this. This is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And it's not expensive. That's the cool thing. That's even the bigger cool thing. It's not expensive at all.
Yeah, you can take any sub box in your inventory and make it an active box right away. And I think one of the coolest things is the Molex they have, the Molex connector. So say you got to remove your sub box out of the car. It's a simple unclip. You're not leaving any live wires in the car anymore. That's protected. And you can take your sub box out of the vehicle if you're doing camping or grocery shopping, whatever the case is. It's a simple, like Nick said. It's absolutely a brilliant idea that I'm surprised nobody's thought about.
How has nobody thought about that until now? That's crazy.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought when I first saw it. I was like, no, why hasn't anybody else thought of this?
Fair enough. Oh, I see 3 letters that I was asking about. DSP.
DSP. Yeah, this was the amp that Grant held up a little while ago. This is a relatively new amplifier in the lineup, and it's one that is overlooked. And I like to talk about this because we all know that the more amplifiers with processors built into them we all have access to, the better off we're all going to be. And especially one that's very flexible like this one. And as you can tell by the looks on this, there's a lot of input channels. There's a lot of output channels. There's a lot of different ways to configure this amplifier. It's really something very special. By the numbers, obviously it is a Class AB, but what it has is basically a built-in 628 Pro DSP processor in the amplifier itself. So it's going to give you all of the functions and all the power that a standalone Mosconi 628 DSP gives you. Plus, you're going to end up with 8 amplification channels all in one package. That is, for the money, I don't think it can be beat. It's pretty amazing. You get 6 analog inputs. It gives you 8 channels of amplification out. There are 2 process preamp outputs available on the amplifier, to where if you have an external amp for a subwoofer, you can control that subwoofer via the DSP processor built into the amplifier. High level and low level input. It does use what is known as the MOS BTM module, which is going to give you the ability to actually tune the amplifier, tune the processor built into the amplifier via Bluetooth.
Oh, Bluetooth is okay.
Yeah, that's a module you can plug directly into it, and you can stream via Bluetooth, and you can tune the DSP. It does have remote volume control, which allows you to use the full-blown RCD controller or the RC Mini controller, either one. This amplifier, you can do a lot of things with it. You got 90 watts a channel at 8 channels at 4 ohms. If you want to bridge 2 of the channels, you can. It'll get you 85 by 4 and 250 by 2. Again, that's at 4 ohms. You could do, if it's 2 ohm stereo, you're going to get 120 watts, all 8 channels. And if you want to bridge this thing to 4 channels, you're going to get 240 watts a channel at 4 ohms. And so if you've got a stereo subs and that needs over 200 watts and you don't need the BTM, you don't need the module, guess what? You can plug this, you can use this amp and you get 240 watts a channel by 4. So you could get, let's say, a pair of subs underneath the backseat of a Chevy truck. You can put a pair of 8s in the door, and you're running 240 watts a channel to all 4 speakers.
I think flexibility is the key on that piece for sure. I mean, there's other amplifiers that have multiple channels and DSP built in, but a lot of them are not bridgeable internally. So this is one of the advantages of this amplifier. Everyone else's out there is this, you can bridge this amplifier as well.
Yeah, and the beauty, and another thing is it's Class AB, and it's not Class D. Which I mean, we build Class D. Mosconi builds really nice Class Ds, but I am still a big fan of old school Class AB sound. It's just it just sounds better. I'm sorry, it does. It'll accept up to 17 volts of high level input voltage. Let me back this up. Do we have any questions on this, Ben, that I could go over for you, or Grant could go over for you with you?
I think one of the cool things too about, even though like it's a little thing, but I think if you look at the bottom plate here, maybe it's hard to see on the camera, but it gives you multiple mounting points to put your screws when you're mounting this. A lot of the times when you've got an eyelet or something to screw the amplifier in, it can be in the way, but this one here you can use multiple different mounting locations. It's just a great little amplifier, compact size, tons of power. And anyone that's used this has never complained about lack of power, that's for sure. It kicks ass.
No, this is actually the amplifier that I'm going to be putting into my wife's SQ5 Audi. We are about to build a system in her car. This is the amplifier I will be using. I'll also be using a 1 Series 1000, 1.1000 for the subs. But this is the amp I'm using.
I had a question, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the DSP section of that amplifier, does it compare, or how does it compare to the standalone DSP units as far as performance?
It's the exact same thing. That's the beauty of these amplifiers, especially this one. You're getting a 608 Pro, which and Grant, you have to tell me what it is in Canadian dollars because I don't know off the top of my head. And if you take a 8-channel amplifier, Class AB at 90 watts a channel, and you were to buy that separately and purchase a 628 Pro, it's going to cost substantially more than this does.
Mm-hmm.
But you get all the functions.
6 to 8 Pro is $900 retail in Canada.
Standalone DSP unit.
Yeah, and this amplifier with the processor built in is $1,600. So 8 channels of amplification and a $900 DSP built into it.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's one of the biggest bargains in car audio, in my opinion.
That's got to be one of your best, will be one of your best movers because it does so many things and fits so many scenarios.
It absolutely does. It's very flexible, especially with the new graphic interface that Mosconi's launched recently. It is so powerful. You have the ability to go in with this amplifier, having this processor. You can go in and you can, if you're doing high level in, you can find all pass filters and correct for it. You can measure input voltage and use and understand exactly if it's high level tweeter, high level mid bass, high level mid range. You can measure it and see it in real time. I mean, there's just a lot that this amplifier and this processor combination gives you.
No, I don't know if we're going to have the time to go into what I'm about to ask you, but I just wanted to get an idea. For somebody who's looking at that unit or installing that unit, what is the level of complexity for the tuning?
There's
interface.
Honest to gosh, Ben, there's two sections to it. There is a basic section, which is really easy. It's not hard. And then there's what is known as the pro section, which can get to be a little intimidating if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. There's two sections to it. It's the reason they do that.
I'm going to imagine that there is tools and resources in place to get that proper training such that they could properly install that into customers' cars. Grant?
Yeah, we're going to be doing more in-depth DSP training with Nick and possibly Sage Weir in the U.S. Coming up in another TransU session a little later on, because that's a full hour or two. It can be a full day or two, but a full hour or two just in-depth on DSP by itself. So yeah, we'll let you know on the full DSP section.
I've been there when the customer sits in their car when it's tuned and they're like just blown away. But to get there, you got to know what you're doing, and that's why I asked the question, just so dealers are listening in, that those resources will be available to make sure that you're in the position to succeed with your customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, let's keep it rolling, Nick.
All right, next section, and you're talking about a brand new DSP processing amplifier that just was released very recently. It's called the Pico 8-10 DSP. Now, this is a Class D amplifier, but this thing is not very big. It's like the size of 3 packs of cigarettes.
Great reference.
It's crazy.
You do mean the American packs, right? You do mean the American packs, right? Because our packs are a little bit different up here.
Yeah, I mean, here in the U.S., they fit in the palm of your hand. So you take 3 of them and you look at it and go, this is nuts.
Wow.
There's a ton of technology that has been built into these amplifiers. It's very specific. There's 50 watts a channel by 4, channels 1, 2, 3, and 4 at 4 ohms. They are non-bridgeable. Okay. Now, channels 5, 6, 7, and 8 are 80 watts by 4 at 4 ohms, or you can bridge them to give you 210 watts a channel at 2 ohms. So yeah, you've got a lot of power sitting right here. You've got 4 analog inputs, which will accept high level in, plus you've got 4 more analog in, which will accept high level or low level in. Okay, so it's an either or. It does have a digital input. There is a Toslink optical input, and there's also what is known as the Bluetooth streaming inputs, which we will get to in just a minute. There's a brand new 10-channel DSP processing chip built into it that operates at 64 bits, and it also has 2 RCA outputs. There's 2 analog outputs that is processed internally by the DSP processor. Now, this has the brand new what is known as the DISC software. This is a complete measuring system. It has a built-in RTA. It has a built-in channel delay measuring system that is very elaborate. And you were talking about, Ben, a minute ago, can this get really, really deep? And yes, it can. But this is where you can go in, use this one box, this one processor amplifier, and we can solve just about every problem you have coming off of a factory amplifier that the folks have programmed into it. There is a direct RTC connection. This is going to be using RTC2. You have to go into the software and designate it as overall volume control or just subwoofer level control. Okay. There is also an option. There is a plug. It's called an EXT4HL. This is an optional piece, and it gives you the ability to have 12 channels of analog input if you need it. Okay, and I've already had some people ask me, why in the hell am I going to need 12 channels of input? Then I'm going, anybody look at the new Cadillac Escalade with 32 channels?
Yeah. There's a lot of cars like that now.
There's a lot of them like it, so you're going to need this. Supply voltage up to 16 volts. If you want to bridge the amplifier, the connections are only allowed on channels 5 and 6 and 9 and 10. Just an FYI. Okay. Now, on the low level side, it will only accept up to 2 volts. Once you cross 2 volts, you got to switch it over to high level. It will accept up to 16 volts of input. And I understand from folks at Mosconi, that's about to become over 30 volts. That's because of BMW. We all know about the BMW and their subwoofers. Okay. AutoSense is high level only. It does use the optical input. It also will be utilizing something I'm going to show you in just a second. Now, they are using a brand new digital analog converters and brand new analog to digital converters. They are 1-to-1 with each other. Whatever's going in is coming out. You can see the signal to noise ratios. They're virtually identical to each other in every respect. So, and this is where you talk about the higher end home audio guys or begin to influence car audio. This is it. You start seeing signal to noise ratios in 106, 107 dB range. This is called a superior product. Remote control is RTC. And I do not have this in millimeters. You can chastise me later.
We run on inches.
We work on inches in Canada too. Yeah.
Okay. You can see how big this is. 6 inches by 6 inches by 2 inches. Yeah. I mean, this is crazy.
That's a lot of power for such a small footprint.
You're getting something that when you get a chance to use this and you start looking at it and you realize how much technology there is and literally in your hand. It's amazing the amount of power this thing produces and the DSP processing power this little unit possesses. It's amazing.
And the input options.
It's almost a shame it's so small because it's something you're probably never going to see in an install. It's not a showpiece. It's only 6 inches by 6 inches, but the amount of power and the sound quality you get out of it, it's a shame that it's so small because it's probably going to be tucked underneath the dash somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, you literally can put it under the dash. You can put. I've got somebody that actually has installed it in their glove box.
I was just going to say, does it fit in the glove box? Probably.
Yeah, a lot of cars it will. And there's a whole group of amplifiers that go with this. And there's a reason why they have built this amplifier, and I'm going to show you exactly why in just a few minutes.
Okay.
There are 3 additional products that I would like to talk about real quick that are not necessarily brand new for 2021, but they are really cool. In the Atomo line, which is the entry-level product from Mosconi, there's this amplifier. This is a 500-watt monoblock, and it literally is the size of a pack of American cigarettes. I'm not kidding. It is. It's ridiculous. It is now in stock. We have these in stock. And I know we're getting low on them because these things are selling like nobody's business.
Is that ever small?
It's crazy. Yeah, as you can see, it's like that's 500 watts mono. Really?
500 watts mono.
Yep.
Okay.
Then these next 2 devices, these are really, really cool pieces. The BTS LD4C and the AMAS LD4C. These pieces were specifically built to stream higher resolution music directly into the processors if you have an Android-based phone system, okay? The LD4C nomenclature, the reason that's there is because of there's 2 codecs that these processors are going to look for, and they are processors. I mean, let's just face it, that's what they are. They're looking for what is known as aptX or LDAC. Now, aptX, it's a streaming codec that's been around for a while, and it'll stream up to 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. That's directly via Bluetooth off of your Android-based phone. If you have LDAC in your phone, and most of the Qualcomm phones do, and all the Sonys do, because Sony invented LDAC, you can stream 2496 resolution files directly to these units, and they will send those signals directly to your processor. This is real high resolution Bluetooth.
But Android only.
It's Android only. It will see an Apple device, but it's going to be limited to CD quality to 1644.
Right, you're not getting the benefits of the higher resolution.
No, you're not. I have one of these at home. I have an Android base phone. I have an LG V30, and I stream 2496 to the AMAS LD4C all day long. The BTS LD4C module, that thing actually plugs into the board of the 8 to 10 DSP Pico we just looked at. It plugs directly into it. It bypasses the entire analog preamp section. The signal to noise ratio on this thing is somewhere north of 110 dB.
Wow. And there's a slot on the back, I suppose? That's like a window port or something?
Yes, there's a slot directly on it that the pin section plugs directly into it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to. You have to do that. It's really fantastic, and they're not expensive.
Sorry, Nick, that AMAS is just a standalone version of that BTS version?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
it also has a digital output on it, Ben. It has a Toslink output, and it will support 2496 off of that Toslink output.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Before you go into the next one, Nick, this is the Atomo 4-6 DSP I've got in my hand. If you can just go over that just real briefly, just as a rundown. You don't have to show any slides, but
it's a really nice unit. It's 4 channels of amplification built internally. It has a 4-channel analog input, 6-channel analog output DSP processor built into it. That unit will also accept this BTS LD4C as well, I have been told. Again, the technology, it's amazing. I mean, you can see.
I just cannot believe how small that is. Like, I'm thinking about building a system, and like my entire footprint for amps might be the size of a Kleenex box.
Yeah, I mean, it's their proprietary technology. They developed it. It's something that they did themselves. They have a nasty habit of not relying upon anybody, and
that's a nasty habit.
And if anybody has ever opened one of these units up, especially the 8-12 aerospace processor, and you look on the board, there's some really colorful language on the board because the Chinese have a nasty habit of having spies taking pictures of boards. And there's some things on there that's not flattering to them.
Gotcha.
And
that's funny.
I'll let it go at that.
Some inside messaging, I see.
Yes. Those that have opened it know what we're talking about.
Oh, they know exactly. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
It's quite colorful. So, any other questions, sir?
No, we're good. I mean, we have about eight minutes left in this presentation, just to give you some gauge.
So, this next section is something that's coming, and it's coming very quickly.
Ooh.
The folks at Gladen, they are developing what they call sound-up wiring. They're developing harnesses for specific vehicles in which you're going to be able to plug into the system post-amplifier and be able to actually use every single solitary function of the car, but you're going to be able to put in a higher resolution system utilizing higher end speakers and higher end amplifiers. It's really cool what they're doing. The example we're going to use today is Tesla, because they are done with Tesla, except for one specific model, and they're working on it right now. So what this is these are complete wiring harnesses for use with those Pico amplifiers we just talked about. Okay, so what they're going to be doing, and this is a very specific, this is a Tesla Model S. It has the ultra high fidelity sound system in it. And what you're able to do is, if like in this particular instance, this is a 3-way that they've added. There's an 8-inch mid bass driver on the door. There's a 3.5 mid and the A pillar. There's a tweeter in the A pillar, and there's a 12-inch sub in the back. And as you can see, there's 2 amplifiers right here. There's an amp here. These are the factory amplifiers, and you plug off of the factory amp, and you plug directly into the 8 to 10 DSP processor amplifier. You'll also come analog out into another amplifier, Pico 1 monoblock powering the subwoofer. This entire system will work off of the factory unit, but we have the ability to go in with the DSP processor, tune the car, and put whatever speakers we want to in the car. Yeah.
Just to be clear, before you continue, we're talking about a factory plug harness, like a T harness of sorts.
Yes.
That uses the original Molexes. There's no splicing.
Nope. It plugs directly into the output sections of the amplifiers.
Very neat.
It's really cool what they're doing.
All right. I have more questions. I'll wait until the end.
No, it's okay. I'm going to go through these. These are the 4 speaker connections that they've already made. Depending on make and model of the car and the level of the audio system, you would order these speaker connections. And then you're going to take a look at the direct wiring harnesses. As you can see, this is very specific. And depending on the car that you have and the audio system you have, it determines on which one of the harnesses you're going to use. And we're going to have, there's going to be a guide sheet at Orca. Grant will have it, and the guys at Trends will have it, that will show you exactly which harness you need to plug directly into the factory amplifiers to be able to add these systems into your cars. And they've got quite a few, as you can see. And again, depending on what it is, they're going to have it.
Can I go first, Grant?
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. First question I have is, Gladen, Mosconi, European company. So my first question is, what kind of applications are we going to see for North American market?
You're going to see BMW North America, Mercedes-Benz North America. They're working on Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche North America. They've got some Kias and some Hyundais already done. The Teslas are done. And it's as soon as they're through with Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche, then, I'm not sure what they're going to turn to. I know they have talked to me personally. I have a 2020 Dodge Limited truck, and they're very interested in designing a wiring harness for my truck because they know how big the truck and SUV market here is in North America.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're delving into direct fit OE replacement category here, which is a big theme across all of Industry Week. It seems to be where, certainly it's taking up more space, right, on the shelf as far as manufacturers concerned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grant, sorry, I cut you off before, Grant.
No, go ahead.
That's okay. Grant. No, you took my question. I was going to ask about North American vehicles.
But
I think you're talking about taking up space on shelves, but less space in the vehicle. I think that's a key, and I'm sure we're not going to be the only supplier talking about this. Is space in the vehicles is becoming more and more effective, or more and more required by customers. We're not taking up their whole trunk with 212s and a big 1200 watt monoblock anymore. People want the use of their vehicle. So this is cutting edge stuff, like the size of these amplifiers, the performance you get out of it. I think it's unreal.
And now the integration aspect with these harnesses.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's amazing.
I'm glad they got the Tesla one. I think that's pretty cool because there's a lot of people.
That's the first I've heard, to be honest. Yeah. That is the first I've heard of a Tesla solution OE, connect.
Yeah, well, they were telling us that Tesla is building a factory in Germany. This is where they're going to actually manufacture them. And when they found that out, they're like, well, it's time to go ahead and do it right now, this minute. Yeah. So that's what they did.
Nice.
And they're going to. And here's the thing: they plug directly into either the Pico 8 to 10 or the Pico 6 to 8. And then you've got the Pico 1 monoblock, which you can come analog out of either one of the processing amplifiers, and you're going to be able, if you need more channels, then
most cases the 6-8 and a 1 will do the job. You get your sub input from the DSP, and there's no other wires. That's it. Done.
Yeah, and you're finished. And the other thing that Gladen told me what they're going to be doing is in the very near future, they're going to have factory tunes that you're going to be able to download directly to the DSP, and your car is going to be tuned. That's time alignment, EQ. They're going to solve all the problems with if it has all pass filters, if it has some built-in EQ, if it has channel delays built into it. They're going to correct for all of that.
So this is the installer's best friend.
Yes. Yeah.
This is great expediter business is what I look at this as well.
Oh, and for those of us who know, if you stop and think about how complicated and how difficult things are getting to be to work on, this keeps us in the aftermarket going. And this becomes really not that difficult to do. We just have to execute it.
Yeah. And you know what? Customers of these type of vehicles, of a large majority of them, will be happy to hear that you're not having to rip out and custom, and you know what I mean? They just want the good sound. They want the result without the hassle. So
absolutely. We will have all of the adapter rings for Tesla available. And just something I wanted you guys to know about. I mean, they have really thought these things through. They just, they are finishing Mercedes-Benz up. They are through with BMW, from what I understand. There's several Kias and several Hyundais they are finished with. They're working on the Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche platforms because they know how huge, Audi, Volkswagen is in North America. Plus, they also know how picky Porsche customers are. And this solves a lot of problems for those picky Porsche customers because we don't have to cut a wire.
And I'm sure Trends will have those updated lists once they're published.
Yes, they will.
Cool. Nick, I got to advise you, we're down to the last minute or two here. Is there anything we'd like to close up on? Or
no, if you got any questions or comments, we're finished as far as my presentation is concerned.
Grant?
With both lines, I think if you just take a look at the catalog, there's a lot to offer from entry level to full out hi-fi audiophile grade products. And we're here in the market. We got all this products in stock. I look forward to getting more info on the Gladen sound up harnesses and products like that. But it's an awesome product, man. Like, we've had such good success with it. I haven't seen any pieces come back. Like Nick was saying about the amplifiers, they're bulletproof, they don't break. Well, that's what consumers want. They're spending good money, they don't want their stuff to come back.
And that's what dealers want.
Right.
The only time they want a dealer to come back is when they want to upgrade.
No, it's great, reliable products.
So, hey, Nick, can't thank you enough for joining us for this one. Couldn't have done it without you.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Anytime, Ben, you need me, just let me know.
Oh, we always will need you, so I'm going to take you up on that one.
And if I may, real quick, Mr. Alan Hosebus will be going over Illusion Audio here shortly this afternoon. I encourage everybody to please take a chance to go listen to Alan and take a look at Illusion Audio. There is some really, really cool new product Alan's going to show you this afternoon coming from Illusion Audio.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that as well. Nick, sir, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Grant.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it, buddy.
Grant.
Speaking of Illusion Audio coming up fairly soon.
Yeah.
I got word, just for people that are thinking of tuning out real quick. Hang around. Nalika's just given me a set of carbon components as a giveaway on the live chat. So
that wasn't even in the plan. It's not in the plan. We're not allowed
it's not in the script. We're going off script.
You are not allowed to give us free-ish to give away.
Free stuff.
Forbidden.
So
that's awesome.
Hang around for Illusion.
All right. Grant, just wrapping up Mosconi real quick. You got small footprint solutions, multi-channel solutions, built-in DSP, and now looking at OEM integration. Check it out. That's my there's a lot of hidden gems in the lineup. So if you've got a few holes in your arsenal, we're there to fill it. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Grant. There you have it, folks. Gladen Mosconi with the training legend himself, Mr. Nick Wingate. We do appreciate his time, and hope you guys got your learn on this session. Hey, I'm your host, Ben Wu. We'll be back shortly. Don't you dare go away. Until next time, we connect.